So that's a great segue. So let's jump over to Brian. And Brian, what maybe you could share with us there a little bit more about Sam was talking about. What kinds of considerations did you look at when figuring out how to design this, and what were some of the challenges that you ran into?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges that we had to face along the way was figuring out where we wanted to put these solar water heaters and the tank provided with it. I think definitely early on we had talked about providing our own tank to store our own water in the system and where we're going to have that on the ground, how high were we going to put that up in the air, if we were going to let gravity push all the water down to the solar water heaters and the stoves as well. Um, when we learned that we were going to use the existing tank there, the next question became, were we going to use a pump or let it be gravity fed? And I think all up to a couple of weeks before we left, we were going to let gravity do it, and then decided just for extra caution, we were going to let have an external pump help us with that process as well. As for the solar water heaters themselves, as Tim mentioned, it was what kind of systems do we want to use? You know, the vacuum systems get warm up the water a lot faster than the flat plate collectors, but the flat plate collectors are a lot more durable. When there was going to be a wall built around the kitchen area, the questions then became, we're going to build these systems on the roof of the kitchen, and we found out that the roof wasn't going to be durable enough for us. So then when we're going to put them on the ground, where we're going to put them inside the kitchen walls and have them be protected, we'll bring them outside the kitchen walls and let them have a little more exposure to direct sunlight.
Wow, interesting. So there was quite a bit to take into account there.
Yeah, there was our weekly meetings were never dull. We always had fun, and there was always things to talk about, see what we can improve, and progress the system. All every weekly meeting. Yeah,
So Brian, if I could ask you as a student, what was the most interesting thing in one of the weekly meetings that you observed or that you learned in this process?
the greatest thing that I liked about the weekly meetings is that being an electrical engineer as my major in college, everything we were doing was not something I was learning in the classroom. It was very hands on. I got to speak with experts. I got to learn from people who this was their passion, their joy, and learned how everything got together. And that was the same for Sam and Ryan and I, who were all the EWME members who went. Is none of us were civil or mechanical engineers or DE engineers, MEP engineers. And so all of this was new for us. And just being able to take a concept that we probably knew nothing or very little about and to become, people who would affect a whole community was something that was eye opening and definitely something that struck a passion throughout the whole project.
Hey, that impact that you're talking about right there is, I think, a great thing to zoom in on for just a second. And before we talk more about the challenges at the job site, Dwight, maybe you could share with us a little bit more about what you observed through the process and what you saw as the impacts at the school as part of the installation team.
Yeah, sure. The thing that was most dramatic to me was the level of collaboration from all the different parties, from all the different uh, areas that were involved in this project. So the ISU students, the people in the ASHRAE chapter, Paul and the KUNST people from the EWB in Ghana, the local people in the community. It was just evident right from the beginning when we first arrived that everyone was working together to make this happen. And that was the thing that jumped out at me the most, is how amazing the collaboration was between all the different parties who hadn't really worked together before, but all had things to contribute to the project.
Awesome. It sounded like, from conversations I've had with many of you in the background, there was quite a bit of elation and impact at the school, and it sounded like it saves the cooks time, and there were some health benefits that came with that. Dwight, can you tell us a little bit more about that level of the impact?
Yeah, sure. The people in the community were excited for the project. The cooks, I think, especially after it was done, were excited to see the results. The impacts are fundamentally a reduction in firewood use. So they use firewood to heat the water, both for cooking and for cleaning the dishes, and to use the solar water heater to preheat the water for cooking and heat the water for cleaning uh, results in a direct reduction in the amount of firewood that they need to burn. And the firewood they've had to start purchasing, so that then also creates a financial savings. From a decarbonization standpoint, obviously not burning as much wood means less CO2 emissions. So that was a benefit. For the people on site, it saved time as well. So you can, if you start your pot full of hot water instead of cold water, it doesn't take as long to boil or heat up. So there were just a lot of benefits there. Another initiative that KUNST, the people at EWB and KUNST are working on, is better venting of the wood stoves that they use for heating to reduce the smoke, and also reducing the amount of firewood they need to burn reduces that amount of smoke as well. So it also was contributing to better air quality in the cooking area.
Yeah, those are all really interesting. And my understanding of the utility situation in the local community was probably wasn't going to be possible to make this kind of hot water without using solar collection. Was that your take and analysis?
Well, no, certainly they could make hot water. It's just that they had to burn wood to do it, and they still use the wood for their cooking, but just need to use a lot less of it. So
Yep.
it didn't fundamentally change the outcome of what the cooking process was. It would just made for a more efficient and quicker way to achieve it.
And I think Phil might have been thinking about if they had electric utility, that there could have been an electric water heater
Gotcha.
that might have been an alternative solution. But with the reliability of their electric service not being very reliable, this
Right.
is why a solar water heater was a good solution here.
Yeah, and the cost. So the cost of the electricity
Sure.
for water heating would have been prohibitive. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Dwight. And so I would like to shift the conversation to the installation part of this project. So Paul, can you tell me a little bit more about the adventure of that installation? Yeah, what did it take as far as equipment procurement and coordination?
Yeah, so we were pretty excited when we heard that. I mean, we have received a grant to install a solar water heater systems in the school to help them in cooking. And like Dwight said, the cook stove project was to, I mean, help the women there get less exposure to smoke, and also help them use less firewood in cooking. And they cook for a population of about 1,500 students. And I mean, you could imagine the amount of firewood they could use in there. So I mean, I saw this as a game-changing solution for us to also improve the cook stoves that we have already installed on the school premises. So I mean, when I heard of the project, it was my first time, I mean, hearing of it. Even though they existed in Ghana, solar water heater systems was kind of new to me, so I was eager to, I mean, learn more about it. And me being the project coordinator for our chapter, I took it upon myself to seek that this operation runs smoothly. So I made the enquiries, made certain enquiries within the city which I was in, which is in Kumasi. But unfortunately, we couldn't get much of the suppliers in Kumasi, so we had to, I mean, seek some in Accra. So eventually I got a list of, I mean, suppliers, and then I sent them to some for them to, I mean, vet it. And later on they sent their feedback that they wanted to go with a particular supplier who was SafeTech Ghana. So I mean, online shopping is in Ghana is quite risky because of potential scams. You might not know what you are dealing in yet. So as of that time, I had in contact with a potential worker from SafeTech. I couldn't verify if he was actually a worker there, but he said he was a worker there. So I mean, I was kind of optimistic about it, texting with him and all that, trying to share, info and all that. So I had to, take it upon myself to move from Kumasi to Accra, which is about 130 miles, and it took me about 5 hours to get there. So upon my arrival, the first thing I wanted to do is to verify the existence of this company. So lo and behold, when I got there, the company existed. I checked their stock to see if they had these solar water systems available, and I made an arrangement to meet with the plumber who helped me in procuring this equipment, and his name was Nur. Nur was very instrumental. He even followed us back to Wa to help us install this solar systems. So overall, I spent 7 days in Accra, and there were a whole lot of challenges, from transaction issues to procuring some of the equipment. We're even getting most of the equipment at the company, so we have to find ways to get them from different suppliers. So in all, it was the operation. If I hadn't been there, I would say it would have been catastrophic and would have messed out on a lot of things. I made it a point to secure most of the things before I leave Accra to Kumasi, because if I leave Accra and then we don't have any of the companies, meaning that project wouldn't be able to come off. So that was my adventure, and Ina also was very helpful. She stayed in touch with me, and then she facilitated all the transaction processes, and then I organized for the delivery to her in Wa. So that was my adventure.
Paul, thanks for sharing that. I saw a lot of smiling faces and nodding heads as you were telling about your experience there. Let's